Hello, today I want to share from the Book of Ruth. Um, Ruth speaks about two different characters. The Book of Ruth, um, chapter 1 especially, talks about Naomi and Ruth. Now, there are both Naomi and Ruth are two different characters, and I want to talk about them. Naomi was a believer who served a living God. She was an Israelite, but due to famine, they relocated to Moab. Moabites serve idols, they don't believe in the living God. So they relocated there, and in the process, she lost her husband, she lost her two sons. Um, and one of the wives of the sons happens to be Ruth. Now let's talk about Naomi. Uh, Naomi believed in God, had faith in God, but at some point there was famine in the land. I don't think there was any point she made inquiries from God before moving to a strange land, before moving to a foreign land. There were challenges in the land that God has placed her in, but she thought, there because of there's greener pasture somewhere else. She decided to move. She did not know that when she moved, she actually moved from the covering of the living God of Israel. She moved out of the covering because there is no covering over them in the land of Moabites, because the Moabites um, believe and serve idols. They don't believe in living God. And so the covering of the living God was not there with them, especially because it wasn't God that told them to relocate there. So because of the family, they thought, oh, there's greener pasture here. They left where God wanted them to be. They left the location where God has ordained for them, and just because of challenges. And in the process, she lost every of her loved ones. She said, I left in full and I came back empty. Most times we are facing with challenges, but the very first thing we think about, especially when it has to do with location, is where is it happening at this time, so that I can move there, and get whatever it is, survive and all that. But most of the times we don't try and make inquiries from God whether we should stay in that land and God will be sufficient for us, or we are expected to relocate, or God shows us a place where He wants us to go. So it's not enough for God to tell you, okay, you can leave. You have to ask God for the specific place He wants you to go to. That's if it is important for you to leave. And if God says stay, best believe that God has a plan for you. Now, let's look at the character of Ruth. Ruth was a Moabite who does not believe in the living God until the moment that she married into the family of Naomi. She married one of the sons, and apparently she got familiar with the living God and started serving the living God. You know, and at the point that Naomi wanted to leave and go back to Israel, she cleaved unto her and said, I want to serve your God. She has experienced the living God and knew her going back to Moabite, staying back at Moab will make her go back to her vomit. So she didn't want to go back to her vomit, and she said, I have experienced the power of this living God. I've heard about him, I've seen him, and that's the God I want to serve. So I would rather go with you to serve that God than go back to where I'm coming from. So Ruth found the living God, in the land where they don't even believe in a living God. He found that God, converted, and was willing to serve that God through. And what did God do in return? She did not just follow her mother-in-law, God blessed her with a husband. Not just that, she became the great grandmother of David, which actually is also the great grandmother of Jesus. Let's put it that way. And God changed her story from being someone who was known as a widow, or no, as a at a young age, and God gave her a new name. God changed her history because she decided to follow the living God. She decided to stay under the covering of the living God. She decided not to doubt that God she has found, because she believed that this God that she has found can do anything and everything for her. And that was why she insisted on going with Naomi. So those are the two different characters, Naomi and Ruth. You know, thankfully Naomi learned for her mistakes, and also Ruth gained, the favor of God from doing the right thing. I hope we are able to pick one or two lessons and know that wherever God has positioned us, He is able to supply all our needs, and that is sufficient for us. As long as He did not tell you to leave, do not leave the covering of God, to avoid being exposed to the attacks of the enemies. Thanks for watching. God bless you.